Yeah, we in here, baby. What's good? Divine Scent Boxing in the building. Salute to everyone who dropped into the chat early. We got my man, Black Superman, an official member of the channel. I appreciate you dropping your Wilder emoji as well. We're going to talk about Wilder tonight as well, so stand by. Deanna Branch in the building as always. Salute to you. J Smooth, Yave, Watcher, Black Alpha, Omega, Red in the building. I appreciate all you guys dropping in here early. You guys know what time it is. It's Firestorm. It's Firestorm. Uncut, raw, authentic, open panel discussion. And as always, we're going to see who has the courage to jump on the panel tonight. Because let me tell you, the amount of hate and criticism that I have received the past week or so, especially about this Canelo Alvarez and Caleb Plant fight, I'm waiting to see if there's any courage out there. I doubt it, but we're going to see. I've sent a few invites privately to a few individuals. Hopefully they will jump into the chat later on. I know Drew Titan's on the job right now. He might jump in later. Of course, Stormy B-Man is always welcome. He's got a link and a few others. So we'll see the direction of tonight's live stream. So I'm probably Case Nasty in the building. Was good. J Smooth. Yeah, you see that, right? You see that, right? I'm telling you, too, like, I don't even know what they're getting mad about. Like, quite honestly, I really don't know what they're getting mad about. I picked their boy to win. That's the craziest shit I've ever seen. Like, I picked their man to win the fight. But I guess I just gave Caleb Plant too much credit. I mean, basically, if you guys seen the prediction video, all I pretty much said was, yo, Caleb Plant is being underestimated here. A lot of you guys think this is going to be an easy fight. It's not. It is not going to be an easy fight. You see, they keep comparing him to Billy Joe Saunders. They keep comparing Caleb Plant's resume to Canelo's resume. I mean, that's what they've been doing. But anyway, I really don't know, as I said, why they get mad, because I picked their man to win. But the thing is that this is what I've realized about boxing fans on YouTube. Not just realized, I've always known this, but I'm reminded of it. The tribalism is real, people. I'm telling you right now. The tribalism is so intensely real that it has tainted boxing so much as a sport. Kondo, what's good, bro? Salute to you. Thanks for dropping by tonight. And it's like, they don't care about transparency. They don't care about someone who's balanced. They don't care about someone who is non-biased and who just talks about the sport. It's like, you all the way in on this side, or you against us. And somehow I talk about a boxing match, and at the end of the video I said, another extra reason why I'm rooting for Caleb Plant, even though I said Canelo probably going to win the fight. Well, I didn't say probably. I mean, I predicted Canelo to win. But I said I'm rooting for Caleb Plant for XYZ reasons. But one of those reasons I said is because he's representing America. And the comment section blew up. Oh, Caleb is not American. Canelo is more American than Caleb Plant is. And this guy doesn't know what he's talking about what America is. How did a conversation of boxing turn into tribalism and nationalism and a conversation about geography? Now, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but last time I checked, Canelo's always wearing the Mexican flag either on his shoulders, raised above him, on his trunks, telling everybody he's fighting for Mexico. This is for Mexico. And y'all want to say, oh, he's more American than Caleb because it's on the same continent. America's not a country, from what I've been told. America's not a country. So United States of America is not a country. So we're talking about continents now. But like I said, last time I checked, Canelo's always representing Mexico. So what's wrong with Caleb Plant representing America? Oh, sorry. You want me to say United States? You have a problem with vocabulary? But anyways, the point is that this is where the conversation swings to. Right? So, and I'm like, all right, well, look, here's the thing. You come on here and you see the title, right? It says Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Plant, official prediction. And because I didn't say within the first minute that, oh, Canelo's going to whoop his ass bad, y'all already clicking the dislike button. How the hell am I going to get nearly 60 dislikes when I picked your man to win? Can somebody please explain it? I don't think anybody can explain it. And people kept warning me, right? See, the thing is that I've been on YouTube for a long time, but I took a long break. I was gone for like 5 years. So during that 5-year span, Canelo was, doing a lot of damage, right? He's fighting Triple G. He fought Billy Joe. He got another couple wins on his belt. I wasn't on YouTube then, right? When I came back, people warned me. You got to be careful, the Canelo fans. They're going to attack you. They're going to be racist, this, that, whatever. So you got to be careful. And I was like, it can't be any worse than the Pacquiao fans, right? I dealt with the Pacquiao fans back in the day when we were out here talking about Pacquiao and Mayweather. But I got to admit, it's just as bad, if not worse. than the Pacquiao fans 10 years ago. It's just as bad, if not worse. But I'm not going to falter. You're not going to, cyberpunk me because that's what you guys do to keyboard warriors, right? I'm on here on camera, right? I show my face. I talk about it. I call people out every day. Anybody can jump on here and have a discussion. It never happens. But the thing is that if you think that you're going to somehow shake me up, the thing about it is this, right? At the end of the fight, my prediction's probably going to be right. But Caleb Plant's going to put on an amazing show. And I'm going to tell all those people that not only can you eat crow, but also beg for forgiveness. Because I got my prediction right, and you were wrong about Caleb Plant. Regardless, win, lose, or draw. Mark my words, Caleb Plant is going to expose Canelo Alvarez. If you don't like that, then it is what it is. Click the dislike button and move the hell on. But I am, standing firm on my prediction. Caleb is going to have to fight. Canelo is going to have to fight. He's going to really have to dig down deep and show us who he really is. And, he'll probably do it. But there will be a lot of respect given to Caleb Plant, regardless if you want to do it or not. You're going to be forced to do it. Isaiah Felix, what's good? I know a lot of people are, still getting their notifications to come in. To Juan Menzies, what's good, bro? Stang Boy, what's up? He says, can you believe these odds on Plant? I got 6-1, and Plant should not be 6-1 against anybody in his division, including Canelo. Yeah, that is true. And you know what? I will say this for the record. You guys might think I'm crazy, but this is what I do sometimes. I'm gonna pull this up real quick. Yeah, I'm gonna show you guys this real quick. Yeah, so you guys might think I'm crazy, but this is something that I do. So the odds are 6-1, right? Which means that if you bet $100 on Caleb Plant, you win $600. So here's the funny thing. Although I'm going for Caleb Plant, but I have predicted Canelo to win. And it's not just my prediction video that I made. I don't know if you guys seen it yet or not. It's not just the stylistic point of view, but it's also the powers that be. If this fight goes 12 rounds and Caleb boxes beautifully, but he was knocked down 1 or 2 times, or maybe even once, they're going to give the fight to Canelo. I keep telling people, right? Caleb Plant has to box absolutely perfectly. He literally has to be Willie Pep for 12 rounds. He has to be Willie Pep for 12 rounds. He has to outpunch him. He has to outmaneuver him. He has to convince the judges that his power is just enough. He doesn't have to knock down Canelo, but his power is just enough to have Canelo respect him. He's going to have to do all these little things, man, to even just get a nod in a decision. And if that doesn't happen, I just don't see the judges giving it to Caleb Plant, man. There's just too much at stake. There's way too much at stake. And unfortunately, I just know too much about the sport of boxing. I know how corrupt the sport is. And I know the history of the sport. And even in the modern era, I've watched too many damn fights and I've witnessed too much foul shit. And that's just That's just the way I feel about it. He's literally got to fight perfectly for 12 rounds. And there's some people out there saying, "Oh yeah, but he can actually knock out Canelo." Well, that's even better, obviously, if he can knock him out. I just don't think that's going to happen. I mean, Canelo hasn't really shown to like really get hurt. I mean, even against Triple G, a guy that hurts people, he took some flush shots from Triple G. I mean, toe to toe, like in the pocket. He's got a hell of a chin, man. I can't discredit Canelo in that department. I just don't see a knockout. I literally, man, I would do backflips if Canelo were to knock out Canelo, or if Caleb was to knock out Canelo. I would lose my damn mind. I don't even know. I can't even fathom it right now. Right? It's basically a miracle. But he can outbox him for 12 rounds. There's no doubt about that. He's got the skill set to do that, but it's got to be perfect. You guys understand what I'm saying? It's got to be perfect. But what I wanted to say, specific volume, bro. I see you, man. Yeah, I saw that video, man. I just hit you on the IG too. That video was crazy. I might touch on that tonight as well. But I'm thinking about I'm gonna make a whole video by itself though. Specific volume. You know what I'm talking about? The video you sent me about Mike Tyson. That's gonna shake up some people when I make a video about that. I promise you, because it does go along with this topic, which is corruption. That's what the topic really is corruption. But I want to talk about the betting real quick. So it's 6-1. That means if you bet $100 on Caleb Plant to win, you can win $600. So although I'm predicting Canelo to win the fight for all the reasons I've already stated, stylistically, I've already done my breakdown, and then what I just said, powers to be as well. The fact that Caleb's got to box perfectly for 12 rounds. I mean, if I'm going to make a video about it and go public about it, I'm going to pick Canelo, right? But behind the scenes, am I going to bet $100? Probably more than that. I'm probably going to bet more than that. I'm probably going to bet $200, maybe $300 on Caleb. Yep. I mean, for me, I got it like that. So whatever, that $200-$300, it doesn't mean much to me. But at the same time, like there's enough possibility for me to take that risk. There's a lot of reward to be taken, right? For really a small amount of money for me personally. Other people, finances and budgets a little bit different. But shit. Why not? Why not? That's just me. That's just me. All truth. Nah, it's not a call in. I'm gonna send a link. I was just waiting for some people to filter in here. It takes time for people to get their notifications. Anybody that wants to join in the conversation, that is the link in the chat. You're going to have to verify yourself, though, before you jump in, because the trolls are running around with an abundance. So the castle guards are on standby duty, a.k.a. my wrenches and myself. T. Choa in the building. Marcus Walls, bro, what's good? Yeah, shout out to you, sir, as well. My man T. Choa, man. It's always good to see you in the chat. So there's the link. Feel free to hit it and jump into conversation. Now, why I wanted to show this video, the reason why I have this up on the screen is I want to show you guys, man. This is my official prediction video. Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Plant official prediction. That's it. That's the only thing that's in the title, right? Nothing fancy. Nothing fancy. But that's what you come in. You click on that, you're like, okay, what is this person going to say about the prediction? They're yeah, all true. Just click the link, bro. I'll have you backstage. So there's no clickbait. It's nothing like, oh, Caleb Plant is going to destroy Alvarez or anything. It's just a straight up, like, flat, straight to the point title, right? And so in the video, man, all I do is just talk boxing. That's it. I don't even talk about the drug. I don't talk about the fact that Canelo popped on PEDs. I didn't talk about the press conference. I didn't talk about none of that shit, man. All I did, if you guys seen it, and if you haven't seen it, I would appreciate you as a supporter of the channel to go over there and click the like button at least, considering the fact that the Canelo fans and trolls have attacked this video and disliked the shit out of it. But just to listen to what I had to say about the prediction. So I did 2 videos, right? I did, well, 3 actually. I did one video where I said Caleb Plant will be a problem, right? And that was like some fight footage that I put together and I released. Then I did a stylistic breakdown with my boy Brian, where we were up in a parking garage and we were going through the stylistic styles of both fighters and just pointing out different things. I did a voiceover. And then I dropped this video. So I did 2 videos back to back, more or less putting the light on Caleb Plant, letting people know that he's a problem. He's got a lot of skill. And I even had some Caleb Plant supporters on this video get upset because I picked Canelo. I mean, you can never please everyone. But what I want to point out is like some of these comments that I was just shell shocked to read some of these comments, because it's like, what are you guys even talking about? In the video, like I said, if you haven't seen it, go watch it, man. In the video, I said, like, look, Caleb he's got skills. I think he's disrespected, da-da-da-da-da. And then I got into the prediction. I said, I think Canelo's going to edge him out. And then at the end of the video, I said, I'm going for Plant because I appreciate his story. I like him as a person. And, I'm an American. He's an American. So if y'all going to go for Canelo because you're Mexican or Mexican-American, whatever the case may be, I mean, I don't even get into that whole nationalistic side normally. But I typically support American fighters, right? Support Wilder, I support Plant. I'll support anybody for the most part, 9 times out of 10. I'm going to support my countrymen, right? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing, I don't know why people get so offended at that. So what? I'm an American white dude, so you expect me to go for Canelo because like he looks white and I look white? Like I don't understand. Or because he's the favorite? I just don't understand these type of things. And the most craziest thing is that I'm from the border of Mexico and Arizona. You understand what I'm saying? I grew up with Mexicans, man. Si hablo español. Si tú quieres. I can speak Spanish all day long if that's what you want. So it has nothing to do with any of this shit. But people don't know this. People don't know this. But the comment section is blowing up. And I see you backstage, Al the Truth, but I'm going to bring you in just in a second. He had to go through, man. But yeah, so one guy says, your analysis makes it seem like Canelo is just a dumb power puncher. Never once mentioned how slick and difficult he is to hit or is at the elite level counterpunching. I mean, it's just, you don't give Canelo enough credit. And, oh, you picked Canelo to win, but you didn't give him enough credit. You didn't tell us how he's going to destroy Caleb Plant. I mean, it just on and on and on and on. And then the whole, like, Canelo's more American, the Plant is, and America's not a country. Just like when I first started getting comments like this, I was like a little bit shocked. I was a little bit upset. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? But they kept coming in, and then I just realized, all right, these people just trolling, man. They just straight up trolling, and I didn't delete nothing. Look, this guy says right here. He said right here, this guy says, I agree with you, but Canelo can only be beat by a KO at this point. As for your comment saying represent American, you mean you're rooting for the U.S. boxer. Canelo is an American mestizo as any Native American can be from these lands. Get it right. So it's a problem with vocabulary, I guess. But anyway, if you guys can stomach the comments on that video, feel free to drop by. If you guys haven't dropped by, hit that like button. I would appreciate that, considering I've been attacked for just talking about boxing. Um, Al, the truth, bro. What's good, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, bro. What's good?
So the thing is, I mean, something that you said, what I'm saying about like the decisions or whatever, right? I've been
Yeah,
thinking about this, right? And I said, the thing is, like, a lot of people they want to ignore the reality that, there is corruption in boxing. I mean, people can ignore this, they can say whatever they want, but the reality is, it is corruption in boxing. And if we want to like ignore that, then we can just accept all the things that have happened throughout boxing and just throw it away. But with Canelo's situation, we can look at the Floyd Mayweather situation, right? We all know that Floyd won every single round in that fight, right? And he won every single round, but he still got a majority decision.
yep,
So to your point that you were saying, it's like even if Caleb Plant was to go in there and put on a beautiful boxing display, he has to do something dramatic just to win. You know what I mean? Because the
yep,
reality is it's stacked against him to win. Now the reality is that's why when people can say like, okay, if you choosing Canelo to win, you understand in the reality that he not only has to win, he has to win beyond just winning. He has to win to convince the reality that even if he just wins, he has to win to a point where it's like, man, it's no doubt. Even the people that support him, they got to say, yeah, he lost. You know what I mean? Like, because if you look at like Alexander Laura. You look at like even like Trout fight, right? We all know like Trout was winning a lot of those rounds. But as soon as they put the scorecards up, Trout started fighting the way that I mean, I would say Trout lost that fight. But the reality is he was winning that fight all the way up until they put the scorecards up. But the reality is they had him so down that he felt like he should fight a different way. And then you look at like you go back to like Deontay Wilder fights. I don't know if anybody ever really that stepped back and look at like what went on in the first fight with Deontay Wilder. I mean, it was nothing really going on in those rounds. You have to be like biased just to say that Fury won every single round. And I'm not trying to take this into, what I'm saying, Deontay Wilder. I'm just saying like it's all bias. You know what I'm saying? When you support a fighter, you always looking at that fighter and you want to say like my guy is winning because you want to support your fighter no matter what. So considering Canelo Alvarez is who he is, one thing I always said about Floyd Mayweather that I respect about Canelo Alvarez is they have these how can I put it? You might be able to put it better than I can put it, but it's one of those things where it's like eye catching punches. It's kind of like clean punches. It's kind of like it's not like something that you can say like, oh, I think he landed that punch. It's a punch that if no matter what it is, like Canelo, he has this thing where he could throw like the body punch. You know what I mean? And like that body punch, we all can be like, man, that was a good body punch. You know what I mean? And the judges will see that. Or like Floyd Mayweather, for example, he could throw the headshot, and then you see the headshot, it's so clean. You know what I mean?
right.
So even though the other fighter is doing so much work within that round, you won't count it as much as you see those eye catching shots.
Right.
And the reality is that the average fan they can't see that. They only see the eye catching punch. They
Yep.
can't see all the work that's done with inside uh what I'm saying, the whole entire round.
Mm.
And I think when you see as like somebody who boxes, like I used to box. My dad used to be a boxer. So that's what I'm saying. Like I look at it from a different lens. I see all the different little like, what I'm saying, intricacies inside of the ring. But the average fan can't see it. And if you have somebody outside that's a biased fan, they're gonna say, "Oh, ooh, whatever going on." They don't really like give credit to the other opponent who's actually landing punches or doing things that we can actually count as landed punches, very outside of like the judges. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Because the judges, like somebody said, they were saying like they should put judges on like a higher ground because I mean I don't know if you ever went to a lot of fights, but I know that you probably have. But a lot of people I don't know if they went to a lot of fights. But when you sitting on ringside, you can't see the fight the same way that you could see it HD when you sitting in your house. This
facts.
that's a fact. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And I always tell people, I say, you know, when you sitting there and you looking at it in person, it might look like a certain thing, but you can't see it.
Mm.
So you might hear the crowd singing, you might hear like a whole bunch of stuff, but it's not the reality that you're seeing.
And let me
So
follow up. Let me follow up with your point real quick.
yeah, go ahead,
And
bro.
a lot of times too with judges, right? They become, and a lot of them are, they're boxing fans, so
Mm-hmm.
they get caught up in that same kind of mentality and atmosphere that boxing fans ringside get caught into, and it's those hard shots. So
Yep.
Caleb Plant can be slipping, sliding, pumping the jab, going up and down, looking good, but he's not hurting Canelo. Canelo's blocking, is parrying, but Caleb can be winning as far as ring generalship is concerned, similar to
Mm-hmm.
what Rigondeaux can do, similar to what Floyd used to do, similar to what Pernell Whitaker used to do, right?
Exactly.
And so that's what boxing is supposed to be, is who's controlling the pace of the fight, who's the ring general, who's landing. It's not the hard shots, but the clean shots. But here's the problem.
Exactly.
Canelo wins rounds because his opponent can throw 20 and land 10, but Canelo only throws 10 but lands 8.
Exactly.
He's still landing less punches, he's throwing less, he's landing less, but those 8 punches seem like they hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, they're eye-catching. So you hear the thud, the pow, the boom in the ring. And so
Mm-hmm.
he's not outboxing or out punching his opponent, but he's landing those big shots, right? That's
Yeah.
how Canelo wins rounds. And
Yeah.
also real quickly, boxers have mastered through boxing history. I've watched it for a long time. There are
Mm-hmm.
certain fighters. It's not a new thing. Floyd used to do it as well, where for 2 minutes out of the 3 minutes of the round, you ain't doing much. Then the last
Mm-hmm.
minute, you put your foot on the gas.
Exactly.
So you can be
Exactly.
losing 2 minutes of it, and then the last minute you steal it. Boxers have been doing that for shit since basically the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So people need to understand, like if you're making a prediction, let me just put it to you this way: if you're making a prediction to say Caleb's going to pull it off, I commend you for that. I respect you for that. I understand where you're coming from. I'm going for Caleb Plant as well. But the reality is that this is boxing. And if Caleb
Yeah.
Plant doesn't box absolutely perfectly and or even better, knock him out, he's probably not going to win the fight. It's just the
You're
way it
right, bro.
is.
You're right,
And
bro.
so
And that's the thing.
it,
I don't mean to cut you. I just want to say one thing about what you just said. Perfect example is like, remember when Deontay Wilder fought what Fury in the second fight, right? Everybody said that Deontay Wilder lost those first second rounds, like the first and second round. But if you go back and you go watch those fights, right? It's funny because he actually arguably won those first and second rounds.
he
Because
landed the right
to
hand.
your point, yeah, he landed the right hand, he landed jabs, he did a lot more things. Even in the first fight, it's a lot of things that Fury did that was not effective, but he put his hands up, like Mikey Garcia in the fight with Errol Spence. So it created the theatrics in the fight. So like the people that aren't necessarily paying attention to the work that's being done, they paying attention to the theatrics. So when like Sugar Ray Leonard when he fought Marvin Hagler, it wasn't that he was winning the rounds. To your point that you just said, he won the rounds at the end because he would throw like a few shoe shiners, as they say, and then he would raise his hands, and everybody say, "Oh, he won the round." You know what I mean? Because the average fan, they can't see the totality of the round. They just see something that caught their eye, and they say, "Oh, he won." You know what I mean? And it's crazy because right now, to your point, and I'll let you go because I know you got other people that want to talk to you, but I just want to say this one last thing. The thing is, in boxing, we have to be honest with ourselves. See, a lot of fans, like you said, it's nothing wrong with like Americans rooting for Americans. There's nothing wrong with Mexicans rooting for Mexicans. I mean,
Yep.
it's all good. It's tribalism, whatever. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? We got to ask ourselves that question. Do we want to see the best fight the best? Because if we want to see the best fight the best, it's like if your guy is better than my guy, we should want to see each other fight. Like I never like as a Deontay Wilder fan or a Floyd Mayweather fan or like any of these fighters, Errol Spence, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Even Canelo Alvarez. I like Canelo Alvarez, and the reason why I want Canelo Alvarez to fight like the Charlos and all these guys, because honestly, I think that these would be great fights, and I honestly think that he can beat a lot of these guys. But don't tell me that these guys don't have value. These guys are nothing, and you not fighting these guys, and you want to give me these racial reasons why they shouldn't fight because they don't have stock. If he better than my guy, let me see it. You know what I mean? Because that's the same thing goes on in UFC. And if nobody want to see that, don't come here trying to argue with me about it. You know what I mean, bro?
Yeah. And look,
So
you're more than welcome to stick around if you want. I mean, we can get up to 4 or 5 people on the panel. It's not one by one, but
oh
that's
no, I'm
entirely.
here, man. I'm here,
Oh,
man. I
okay.
mean, I don't have nothing. I don't have nothing going on. I just
Shit.
didn't know how you had it going on. So shit, I'm here.
It it's Saturday night. Shit. So, um,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
here, bro. So yeah, go ahead.
So the link is in the chat, man. If anybody wants to jump in and join the conversation, look, Canelo fans are welcome. You know what I mean? It's just as long as we keep it respectful and talk about boxing, then you're welcome on the panel. If you come in here with some dumb shit, then I'm sorry. I got no time to
Yeah, man.
waste. Time is precious.
100%.
But look,
Exactly, man.
I've seen a lot of different comments, and look, this is a good thing for boxing in the sense of as we creep closer to the fight, we're a week away now. People start getting amped up. See, 3 weeks ago, nobody was really talking about this fight. Right? Everybody was so fixated on Wilder Fury. Wilder Fury casted a shadow on all the fights. Everybody was tuned in, right? It took some luster away from Herring and Stevenson. It took some luster from this fight. But now as we're slowly maneuvering away from the Wild Fury trilogy, we're a week away from Canelo and Plant. Now people are starting to, now people are starting to get amped up, and that's good. That's what we want. We want conversation. And we want people to state their case. And I've seen a lot of different stuff. A lot of people saying Caleb don't got no power. Caleb is only a one-handed fighter. Caleb doesn't have a chin. Well, I don't know why you say he doesn't have a chin because, I mean, he hasn't been dropped. Now you may say that he's going to face real competition in Canelo will test that chin. That is your opinion, though.
Hey,
You
bro.
cannot say that Plant doesn't have a chin because he's never been dropped. It doesn't matter whether you think he's fought a puncher or not, which is not true.
Hey, hold
Which
on.
is not true.
Hey, 1 second, bro. Let me say something real fast that you just said. Remember Ugasaki? I can't remember his name exactly. The guy who was supposed to fight Benavidez. Remember
Yep,
when like
Muskogee.
he was supposed to be like Ugasaki? He's supposed to be like so much of a hard puncher. He got the rail up out of there and etc. But Caleb dropped him. Remember that? And everybody was saying that he can't punch. And to
Yep.
your point, everybody's saying that he can't punch, but I said it's always the guys. Like even when we think about like I can't remember his name, the guy who the Mexican guy who dropped Jacobs. Remember the guy? What's his name? He a commentator right now. Man, what's his name? He fought in like remember back in the days when they had like the contenders. He's
Yeah.
he's a Mexican dude. Remember he was
Yeah.
supposed to be like a light puncher. He a Mexican guy. What's
Mm,
his name, man? I'm sure people in the comment section know what I'm talking about. But anyway,
probably,
he's
yeah.
supposed to be like a light puncher. And anyway, he fought Jacobs, right? And in the fight with Jacobs, he fought him 2 times. He dropped Jacobs. But the funny thing about it is, Canelo didn't drop Jacobs or Golovkin. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I know that I think that was it? I think it's Golovkin or I think maybe Golovkin dropped him. But yeah, Golovkin dropped him, but Canelo didn't drop him. But that guy who's supposed to have been like a feather puncher, he never dropped him. You know what I'm saying? But in his fight, you know what I'm saying, he got dropped. And everybody like, oh, he's supposed to be like a feather puncher or whatever. And the thing is, Jacobs got
Sergio
dropped by
Mora.
yeah, Sergio Moore. So Sergio Moore dropped Jacob in one of their fights. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Now
you're
think
right.
about this. He
You're
dropped
right.
him, right? So when you think about this, it's like they always say like people supposed to be like feather punches, whatever. But all it takes, because I used to box, all it takes
It's
is the right
boxing.
punch.
It's
Yeah, all it
boxing.
takes exactly, bro. All it takes is the right punch. So the thing is, everybody's
Fact.
saying like, Canelo, you know what I'm saying, he can't get touched. But think about it. I mean not Canelo's, Cotto's brother rocked Cotto back in the day, right? And even if you look at Mayweather, who they call like a feather puncher, he had Canelo hesitant, you know what I'm saying, to come
Mm,
forward. Now we can
mm.
always say like, oh, it was back in the day, whatever. And of course, you know what I'm saying, you always mature as a fighter. But the reality is punches that land in a certain position can't have an effect. You know what I'm saying? So when you think
Mm.
about it, it's like, is Caleb Plant really a soft puncher, or is it the punches that land in a specific spot? And I don't
Mm.
think that Caleb Plant is a soft puncher like they think he is. I think he has respectable power, and I think if Canelo Alvarez rushes in there and think he just gonna take him out, the type of mentality that Caleb Plant has, he can hurt him. And I think a
Let me
lot
let
of
me
people not really
let
looking
me
at that,
let me
bro.
jump in real quick because you
Yeah,
brought something up that's very interesting. First, Dejuan, man, I appreciate the super chat to let us know that was Sergio Mora. A lot of people forgot about what was his name, the Latin Snake or something like that, his nickname.
yeah.
Yeah. But I appreciate that super chat, bro, and also my man Antoine Richardson. Always good to have you in the chat, bro. I appreciate you. Look, uh, at the end of the day, right? People have to understand that Canelo's moving up. Now I know a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
saying, "Oh yeah, but he's. Have you seen his weight? 7 days out, he's 173 pounds. Yeah, but it's not about weight necessarily. It's size.
Mm-hmm.
This is the super middleweight division. Okay, 168. So that probably means that Caleb Plant walks around at 180. No problem. He's
Exactly.
6'1". He is 6'1". And he's got a 74-inch reach. People, he's got a 4-inch reach advantage over Canelo. 4. Not 1, not 2. 4. Go look at your measuring tape and see how long 4 inches is. An inch in boxing, regardless, just 1 inch is a mile in boxing.
Mm-hmm.
So, look, the thing about it is that at the end of the day, Canelo's moving up. He has to prove. Now, everyone says, oh, yeah, but he fought Saunders. Saunders is 168. That's their favorite go-to right now for Canelo fans. And I give Canelo full credit for that victory. I do. Saunders has a very good resume. He's a true 168er. And Canelo went in there and busted his orbital bone. I give him full credit for it. So then the question is, who would win between Plant and Saunders then?
Yeah,
I think Plant would win. That's my personal opinion.
100%.
I think he's got faster hands. I think he's more accurate. And, every time that other than Lennox Lewis in my recent memory, when you have an American slick boxer against a UK slick boxer, a lot of times the American slick boxer wins. I don't give a damn about color or race. It's just fact. And I know a lot of UK fans will get upset about that. But it is what it is. Other than Lennox Lewis, you can throw Tyson Fury in there, I guess, if you wanted to. But more times than not, that's what happens. Now let's dive a little bit deeper.
Hey, but you know what, though, bro? You know what? The thing is with Tyson Fury, think about it. He learned his style from the Crunk Jam.
Recently, yes, he's changed his style, but he changed his style so he can beat Wilder. He did that change literally for Wilder.
Yeah, but you got to think, even back in the day, he was back in if you go and look it up, he was back in the day doing something with the Crunk Gym when even before he fought Wilder. That's why they know him, because you got to remember Andy Lee was back in the Crunk Gym, so it's not
Yeah.
something recent. They've been learning this stuff for a long time.
Right.
It's the same thing with
I think
Usyk.
I think that people. I want to dive a little bit deep in this, and I got my man G Funky in here, and he's I know he's going for Canelo for sure. Look, I think people underestimate Caleb Plant's resolve and the dog that he's got in him.
Exactly.
And a lot of people like to point to, later rounds against Skoogie. And I agree, but that doesn't mean that he has a lack of skill. That doesn't mean that he was getting tired. That just means that he was trying to get him out of there. He was trying to knock him out. And that's not Plant's style. And yeah, he was going toe to toe and mixing it up with the guy who likes to go toe to toe. And he got hit with shots. But also what it proved to me that in the later rounds, he was getting hit with big shots by a puncher, a guy who had stopped Durrell, and he took those shots. So then the question is, but who hits harder, the Skoogie or Canelo? Well, maybe Canelo hits harder, but at the end of the day, Plant did prove that in the later rounds, he can take shots. So I think his durability has been underestimated. I think his boxing skill has been underestimated. And a lot of the betting and the predictions are based off the fact that Canelo has a better resume. It is a different level. Caleb Plant is stepping up to a whole new level. He's fighting one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in boxing. That is what most people are saying why Caleb Plant cannot win this fight.
Let me ask you a
Boxing
question,
history is replete with examples of boxers who have a lot of skill and they don't have as good as resume as the champion that they face off against, and they beat the champion. Yeah. This is not something that is new. Muhammad Ali, a.k.a. Cassius Clay, when he faced off against Sonny Liston to win the heavyweight title, he didn't have the resume that Sonny Liston had. Not even close. Sonny Liston was a destroyer. And not to mention another example here recently. As a professional, did Stevenson have the resume that Herring had?
Not at all.
Absolutely not. Herring had a far better resume than Stevenson. Who's the younger fighter in this fight? Plant or Canelo? Plant is.
Plant.
Who has taken less?
About this, bro. Even if you think about this, bro, think about it. Stevenson, when he fought Fury, he knocked Fury down, and he was known as a light puncher. Think about that, bro. Remember when Stevenson fought Fury? He knocked him down. Nobody not thinking about that. Boxing is unpredictable. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And I want to say something to that point where you said earlier, because I know my way around the ring, and I've have boxed enough of my day to understand that there's a thing called a sweet spot in boxing, and if you hit that sweet spot, anybody can go down. And I'm a firm believer that yes, you are born with power, just as you're born with a chin. Some people have it, some people don't. Like Amir Khan, gifted athlete, wasn't gifted with the chin. It just is what it is. Okay? Some people, their cranium is just built different through genetics, and they can take a lot of shots to the head. They got crazy punch resistance, right? But anybody other than maybe 2 or 3 boxers in boxing history who've never been knocked down in a fight, like literally 2 or 3 who've never been knocked down at least once in their career, out of the thousands of boxers who have stepped through those ropes, who've been dropped at least once. So, yes, to your point, anything can happen. And a lot of times when boxers who typically have a fantastic chin, who have shown to have great punch resistance, which Canelo does, when they finally get knocked down for the first time in their career is usually because either A, they get too cocky, or B, they get hit with a shot that they didn't see coming.
Yep.
And normally it's when they're throwing a punch and they get hit with something in return. Even the greats get knocked down by those type of punches. So I'm not suggesting that Caleb Plant is going to knock down Canelo or even knock him out, but I think to what AL the Truth's point and my point is that this is a super middleweight division title bout for the undisputed, right? Caleb Plant has been at this weight class basically his entire career, and he's very accurate. You don't need power to drop somebody. You need accuracy. Accuracy is just as important, if not more important, than power itself. Because like I said, if you hit that button, right? You hit that sweet spot, you can drop someone. So that's what I just want to remind people that you know, although yes, Canelo has this great chin and I agree with you, he does. He took some hellacious shots from Triple G. He got touched up by Mayweather badly. And let me say this too. Is Caleb Plant as gifted as Mayweather? No, he's not. Is he as quick, savvy, winning IQ, as good as Floyd? Not now, because at that time, Floyd was already like at the pinnacle, beyond his pinnacle in his career, the things that he accomplished in the sport. By the time he faced off Canelo, he was such a savvy veteran. So it's difficult to compare. Caleb Plant may develop into that later, but not right now. But I will say this. In the discussion of power, if Mayweather can land clean shots and keep Canelo off of him, a guy who walks around at maybe 150 pounds. Mayweather's a small guy, and he had enough pop in his punches to keep Canelo off of him. So why now at Caleb Plant, who probably walked around at 180 plus, why can't he keep Canelo at bay, but Mayweather can? I don't understand that. That has nothing to do with years of experience. That isn't. Yes, Canelo's a better fighter, but for me, you can't make the argument that, oh, well, Floyd. So you're basically saying Floyd punches harder than Caleb Plant? That's what you're telling me. Okay, Floyd Mayweather, who's fought at 147 most of his career, walks around at 150? Come on, guys. You want us as Caleb Plant supporters to be realistic. I'm asking you to be realistic.
And then, bro, you got to think about it. Like, Mayweather, his power was only displayed when he was in his 130s. He didn't have the same power. I mean, he had it at 140, but it wasn't the same when he got to 147. So, you know what I'm saying? People who want to try to discount what you just said, it's like we got to realize that his power was only there at like 130 and 135.
Oh, he started having hand problems as he went up in weight and different things like that. But look, the question is not. It's not because Floyd has power and he was able to keep Canelo off. It was quick, precise punches. Punch and not be punched back.
Exactly.
Now,
That's what I'm saying, bro. It's like when you look at it, it's like his punches, to your point, it's like it's accuracy. It's like if me and you, like, man, you fighting, right? I can punch you, like, say for instance, like, you bigger than me, right? You weigh 200 pounds. I weigh 100 pounds, right? It's like if I punch you in your stomach or I punch you in your your chest, it might not hurt. But if I hit you in your throat or your eye, it's gonna hurt. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? Because I'm focused on areas that I know is gonna hurt you. And if you got a
And
fighter in there that understands where to hit you at, it's gonna hurt.
And I'll tell you this right now. I'm going to point this out. I'm going to give a shout out to my man Antoine Richardson first. He says Canelo, in caps, cannot be called the best, bro. Rules are adjusted for him. Interesting super chat there, bro. Antoine, I appreciate you, man. He said Muhammad Ali had more skill than Sonny Liston. Are you saying Plant has more skill than Canelo? No, my point in that comparison was that well, I will say that Sonny Liston had way more power than Ali. Most people predicted Liston to knock out this cocky kid who was Cassius Clay at the time, talking smack. Everyone was like, oh, Liston's going to destroy this guy. Now everyone's saying Canelo's going to destroy Plant. That's my point. And Ali shocked the world. It's not about skill. I'm making the comparison between Sonny Liston and Canelo, not Ali and Plant. Dejuan, thank you for the super chat, bro. Always supporting the channel, man. Much love. Platboy Gaming in the building. What's up, bro? You made it. I hope you're probably listening at work, bro. I know you do that graveyard shift, bro. I appreciate you. I want to say this real quickly. I got K-Rod's in the building too, Brand. Thanks for dropping by, K-Rod. I know you got a lot to say. I know you got a mouthful when it comes to Canelo. But hold your horses here just for a moment. Look, I spent a lot of time looking at this fight, checking this fight out, man. And it's a tough fight to break down because normally this should be an easy prediction for me. Normally, like Canelo in there, I would just be like, Canelo, he's just got too much experience. He doesn't get hurt often in fights and things like that. But then you throw Caleb Plant, it's like a monkey wrench, man. Because let's put it to you this way. If someone were to say, okay, Divine, what kind of fighter can beat Canelo? If you don't think Plant can do it, who do you think can beat Canelo? And a lot of people say, oh, the only type of guy or boxer that can beat Canelo is a guy who can hurt Canelo, who can outpunch Canelo. I don't agree with that. Because if you put him in there in the ring against a guy who can punch really, really hard, it doesn't mean he has boxing skill. And Canelo can outbox him. A fighter that beats Canelo is a boxer, is a pure boxer. Trout gave him problems. Erislandy Lara gave him problems. Floyd Mayweather gave him problems. Danny Jacobs at times was a challenge for him. And Danny Jacobs is not even known to be a pure boxer. But he's quick. He's athletic. So these are the type of guys that give Canelo problem. Triple G, well, it's basically that whole fight, Triple G versus Canelo, is tailor-made. They're both boxer punchers who stand in front of each other, and let's see who can counter and punch harder. That's what those two fights were all about. Nobody in those two fights, neither fighter bounced on their toes, worked behind the jab, that pure boxing style. They both said, let's meet up in the middle of the ring and let's see who wins. That's what both of those fights were about. And a lot of people thinks that Triple G won at least one of those fights. But again, that goes back to the powers to be. The powers that be.
Hey, Divine, I want to say something real quick. You know what it is with me with Caleb Plant? One thing that made me think that he can win this fight is the reality that when his mom died, I'll never forget this, man. His mom had died. And she died in a way that nobody wanted our mom to die. And he still fought a fight and he won that fight. That in itself showed me he has mental toughness. You know what I mean? Because most people, they'll pull out of the fight, they'll do a lot of things. But the fact that he continued on with that fight and he won that fight and he dedicated to his mom, that let me know that beyond like the cameras, the actions, he has mental fortitude. And when you fighting somebody like Canelo, you need that.
Yep.
So when things get tough for him, I think that he's gonna pull through because you understand. Even I mean, I'm not trying to make this a racial thing, but let's be honest here. He got a black wife, and he living in Tennessee. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of racial. I mean, let's be honest here. It's a lot of
Yeah.
racial issues out there, bro.
Yep.
So I know
Yep.
that he go through it with his black wife, and the fact that he
Yep.
could defend his wife, because the way that Caleb come out, he's the type of dude. I guarantee if somebody disrespect his wife, if he take her in the area, he's gonna defend his wife.
Yep.
So he shows me that he's the type of man that's not only willing to defend his honor, he's willing to defend himself in any given situation. So when it gets tough in that ring, I think that he's gonna try to man up, win or lose. He's gonna show his heart in that ring. And it's the same thing, like I said. Like it's certain people who have it, and certain people that don't. Like
Mm.
Deontay Wilder, when you were saying he's willing to get knocked out, whatever. I see that same thing in Caleb Plant. I think when things get tough for him, he's willing to go out on the field. And I said, like Canelo said, he said he respects him. He respects him because I think that he's seen something in his eyes. He know that I'm gonna have to knock this dude out because he's gonna keep fighting me. And I said it's not everybody who's built that same way. It's certain people in this world that as soon as we get touched up and we can't win, we start backpedaling. But when I look at people like Caleb Plant, I look at people like Deontay Wilder, I look at certain people in this world, you know that they're willing to die in that ring.
I
And I
agree.
think that's the thing that a lot of people don't seem to see about Caleb Plant that I see. So win or lose, I think that it's going to be a great fight. And I think that anybody who's downplaying Caleb Plant, they cheating themselves because I think that he's really going to bring it in. And I think that whether it's a loss through the corruption or it's just him actually getting beat, we gonna get a treat.
I agree. I agree. I know. K Rod wants to jump in here. I just want to say this real quick. There's a beautiful thing in boxing called having that dog in you. And you can go back in the history of the sport and look at fighters like Sugar Ray Robinson, who most historians and people who talk about boxing um, say that he's probably the best fighter of all time. And he fought two individuals that stand out to me the most, which is Jake LaMotta and Gene Fulmer. I think he fought both of them 4 times, at least one of them 4 times, and the other 3 or 4 times. And Sugar Ray is light years better skill-wise than both of these men. But these two men brought the best out of Sugar Ray Robinson. You know why? Because they don't quit. They just keep coming forward. They keep punching to the body. They take a shot to give a shot. They have that grind mentality, grind and grind and grind until I cannot move forward any longer. You're talking about somebody with Caleb Plant, that same mentality. The difference is he's actually skilled. He actually has skill. And he has that dog in him. He has that determination. So Canelo doesn't only have to outbox him, outclass him, show that he's at a different level, but he's actually also got to outdog him. He's got to outwork him too. He's got to prove that he wants it more. And I think that little subtle detail is something that people are not taking into consideration with Plant. A lot of people, AL, they think that Plant's just all talk. They think it's just all for show. He's trying to get a payday. Even though Plant, one of the first things he said at the press conference is, I'm not here to get paid. I'm here to be the undisputed champ. And I saw a few other people making comments in my video and other videos around YouTube saying that, Plant he doesn't shut up about his story. He reminds us about his story all the time, about his daughter dying and being disrespected and all that. And they're like, we're getting tired of hearing the same story. Well, that's because he keeps telling people about the story, and then people don't pay any mind to it, and they think it's a joke. That's why he keeps reminding people.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If the boxing media actually cared and actually took notice, he probably wouldn't talk about it because he probably feel like, they know what time it is then.
Mm-hmm.
People,
And it's
Caleb Plant is not some. Let me just say this, man. Caleb Plant is not some white dude who grew up in the suburban areas who had a soccer mom that took him down to the gym and put him in karate and put him in boxing and bought everything for him, and he's been privileged and he went through boxing with a silver spoon in his mouth. This guy is from the bottom. Caleb Plant's from the bottom.
And I'm glad you say that, bro, because I think that's the thing that people they need to understand that black and white, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong, like I always understand like there's discrepancies between races, especially in America. We all understand that. But at the same time, I'm not gonna discount the reality of somebody who go through the struggles with me. And I look at a guy like Caleb Plant, like you lost your mom, you grew up in a situation where you had to grind. You know what I'm saying? So the reality is like his situation is real. You know what I'm saying? And like you just said, it's like they just discount this thing and they just overlooking the reality that he's telling you his story. So when he's telling you his story, it's like, oh yeah, you're just a white boy. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna listen to you because you're a white boy. It's like, no, I'm a white boy, but guess what? I come from this place. This is not something that I'm just making up. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to play this story just so you can sell it for me. This is my reality. And I think that a lot of times, especially in America, they overlook like, you know what I'm saying, individuals versus like the whole totality of things. Because you know you got Tyson Fury, right? You'll look at a Tyson Fury, right, and they'll use his mental health thing, and then they'll like discount the reality that we got the Adrian Bronas, we got all these other people out here in the world that's going through different things. They'll laugh at these people, but then they'll say, "Oh, you know, we want to put Tyson Fury on his pedestal." It is nothing against like Tyson Fury per se, even though I got my feelings against him. What I'm saying is like it's everybody at different walks of life, whether it's race, creed, whatever. We have different stories because we individuals. So when you look at Caleb Plant, his story is his individual story. And when I listen to him, I know it's authentic. And I think that when he's fighting for something authentic. And when he's fighting for it, you can't just look at him and say it's non-authentic. And I think when he get in that ring, when he's fighting for, he's not only fighting for Tennessee, he's not only fighting for everything that he's went for, he's fighting for something bigger because he's looking at Canelo Alvarez. And I keep telling people, I was talking to my friend this other day, I said, when he's looking at Canelo Alvarez and his man, he's thinking to himself, he said, you know what? This guy right here is a perfect example of somebody who's privileged. Now, somebody outside, they might say, well, how can you say that this guy's privileged and you're a white guy? But he's not looking at it from that perspective. He's looking at it from the perspective that I've been working my ass off, and y'all telling me that I can't get this man, this pinnacle because I'm a white guy. You know what I'm saying? Even though
Yep.
I've been working my ass off and I came from the gutter, and y'all handing this something
Well,
over to this guy.
I,
You know, you see
well,
what
I
I'm saying,
can.
bro? It's like,
Well, I mean, yeah, you preach it to the choir. I mean, I've been a victim of that myself, being an athlete. So I know exactly what Caleb Plant is coming from. You know, I had to earn my way,
yeah,
and sometimes that at the time growing up, I used to hate that. I used to be like, man, you know, this is unfair. It's like, why am I being treated like this? But you know what? I'm glad I went through it because it
exactly.
made me much stronger. Every time I stepped onto a basketball court, every time I went to a boxing gym, every time I went on the football field, and where I grew up, there was a town where it was basically like the whole school was just all black, and the whole team was black, and my team was, we were a mixed team, Hispanic, white, black, whatever, but they would look at me, and I was a running back growing up. They would look at me like, man, this white dude can't run, man. They be sitting there across the line before we even hike the ball, looking at me like, this white dude can't run.
Mhm.
So what do you think that did to me? Either you fold and be like, oh, like you're intimidated, or you get the damn ball and you show what you got.
Yep,
And what you learn is that if you got skill, you're gonna be respected. Period. And the
exactly.
black community that knows Caleb Plant, they respect him because he's
Exactly.
earned it. He's earned it.
Exactly.
So that's
Exactly.
what people have to understand. You know, a lot of people, oh, we make it about race. Well, look, boxing is race driven, whether you like it or not.
100%.
That's just the way it is.
Yep.
So it's not that we want to talk about it. It's just reality. I have this comment highlighted on the screen here by Chicano Prophet. He says the triple G fights didn't prove that Canelo has dog in him. I'm not saying that Canelo doesn't have dog in him. I'm saying that people are discrediting Caleb Plant by saying he doesn't have a dog in him because he's never been in a war or whatever. But let me say this, Chicano, and for the other people that are in the live chat that are going for Canelo, there's a live poll going right now, by the way. Who do you got? Simple poll. Right now, Canelo is slightly ahead. If you guys haven't voted, vote in the poll. And if you guys are coming in, hit that like button. We should have 50 likes by now, easily. But look, there's a big difference, and people keep referring back to the Triple G fight, which is fine. But there's a big difference between having to fight a guy who is willing to stand in front of you, and essentially that's what that fight was. Who can counter, who can slip, who can land the bigger shot, who can put combinations together, who's going to have endurance towards the end of the fight, and those type of factors. Floyd Mayweather, right, would beat his opponents by basically taking the fight out of them. It's not about power. It's not like Floyd hurts his opponents and they get discouraged. They get discouraged because they keep getting punched in the face and they can't do anything about it. It's not about like, oh, he just punched me and hurt me. Oh, I'm hurt now. Oh, my nose is broken. My mouth is bleeding. My eyes. No, that's not something that Caleb Plant is going to do either. But when you punch somebody in the face and you can't punch him back, that is demoralizing. It's not the effects of the punches. It's the effects of you not being able to do what you thought you were going to be able to do. Mike Tyson said it. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Right? And what did Floyd say going and leading into a lot of his fights? He said, they keep telling me, oh, this guy's bigger than me. This guy punches harder than me. Oh, he's super strong. But when they get in there in the ring with me, they can't touch me. I don't know about you guys, but when I watch Caleb Plant in his training videos and I see the head movement, I see the elusiveness, he's working with Andre Ward, who, by the way, is one of the best to ever do it in our generation. And he's showing these, and I'm like, he's going to be hard to hit. I'm not saying Canelo won't be able to hit him at all, but he's going to be really, really slippery. And he's long, he's tall, and the jab is going to be in Canelo's face all night. So, on a boxing perspective, I'm very curious on what Canelo's going to do to handle it. Now, I've already predicted Canelo to win this fight. I think he has enough experience to make adjustments. But what I want people to understand is that if you don't respect Caleb Plant now, you're going to respect him Saturday night. I promise you that. Win, lose, or draw.
I think with
K-Rod.
I think with Caleb Plant, honestly, I think the only thing that, especially from that press conference, and I think that he might have learned from this, but I think a lot of people are not taking it into consideration. He threw that punch out there, and a lot of people say he didn't land, but he actually did land that slap on Canelo. I said, but Canelo, he was real quick to your point. He landed that body shot. I said, if Caleb Plant is smart, he's going to take that into consideration, and he's going to put that into his repertoire and say, you know what, he's not going to be landing these body shots on me. When I land that punch, I'm going to move out the way. You know what I'm saying? And if he do that, it's going to be a hard night for Canelo. It's going to be a real hard night for him because, to your point, he has longer reach. All he got to do is to put that hand out there because he's quick enough to land a punch to a point that we didn't even see that. Think about it. We didn't see that slap. Most of us didn't even see that slap. It landed that fast. But the reality is, if he lands those type of punches, Canelo gonna feel them even if we don't see him, and it's gonna keep him honest. And if he move out the way when he's doing that, it's gonna create a situation where Canelo gonna be hesitant. And I said that's the thing that people gotta understand, that mentally he has to be prepared to do that 12 rounds. But he has to be also mentally prepared to not do what Trout did when they think that he's down to get away from his game plan. Because even if Caleb Plant loses on the scorecards, us as fans, we're going to say he won. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to say that it's a moral victory. What I'm saying is like when you have a situation where you lose, but everybody say you won, it's going to demand something higher. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean, bro?
Yeah, yo, K Rod, what do you got on this? And shout out to Antoine, man. Thank you for the super chat. He says rites of passage, divine. I'm not quite sure what you meant by that because you dropped that in a bit earlier. But I appreciate the super chat no less. But let me know what you mean by that rites of passage. K Rod,
Hey,
I know you got a I know you got a
man.
mouth. I know you got a mouthful, bro.
Oh man.
But just real quick, Look, I see people in here. You know, there's a lot of people that have recently joined the channel that have joined the channel because I made my prediction video, right? And a lot of them are Canelo fans. First, let me say, if you join the channel out of respect for my boxing conversation, even though you're a Canelo fan, I appreciate you and I salute you because most Canelo fans have disliked my shit, said a lot of racial shit in my comment section. And if you're in the live chat now, that means that you're subscribed and you appreciate boxing conversation and you're keeping it respectful. And I just want to throw that out there. And it's not that I dislike Canelo. K-Rod probably has a different opinion. It's not that I dislike Canelo. I just simply think that Plant is just being discredited. That's just my stance. I give credit for Canelo in regards to what he's accomplished. You know, one of his biggest notable wins, in my opinion, is actually Billy Joe Saunders. I mean, I think that's like one of his really, really good wins. Kovalev, we can have a conversation about it. Triple G, yeah, pretty good wins, but you know, it's so close, and a lot of people thought Triple G won those fights, or at least one of them. So it's not that I don't like him. It just thinks my stance is I think Plant's being disrespected, and that's my opinion. So, K Rod, let the people know.
Yes, thank you very much for having me on once again. Um, for those of you that don't know, I personally don't like Canelo. I at one point used to like him, like when I heard about him, but once he started doing a lot of shady stuff, as far as like getting into, I guess, the steroids without the computer all and just being caught without the cheating. I just didn't like that out of him. I don't like any fighter that cheats, nor any athlete that cheats at all. I'm all, pure, 100% talent. Especially when you put in the hard work to show me that you deserve to be at that level. But the fact that Canelo Alvarez gets this politicized protection to get away with dirty stuff like that sickens me because I don't like looking at athletes like that every day. I don't want to go to the store and then I hear about Canelo popping dirty and he's still able to be fighting, till this day. But then, when it comes to like any other fighter that's not on Canelo's level of status, that's okay to talk crap about them and put them down. Even if they got caught once, and yes, everybody should be held to the same standard. But at the same time, it's like stop giving these double standards for these fighters. If you care about the sport, then get these dirty fighters out the sport. Canelo Alvarez should have been out of boxing a long time ago. And the fact that you guys, especially you racist ass Mexican Canelo Dick Rider fans that talk shit to people online that can't actually have balls to say it right to someone's face, that makes you guys cowards and criminals. And the old saying goes that a coward dies 1,000 times, but a hero only dies once. And guess what? Caleb Plant, to me at least, he's a hero for standing up to Canelo and actually having like the actual courage and manhood to expose him for who he is. And not only that, Canelo Alvarez, if he loses to Caleb Plant in a similar convincing manner to what Floyd Mayweather had done to him, that will just basically show that he was never good to begin with. And This is why
Mm.
Canelo Alvarez has always avoided a certain style, similar to what Manny Pacquiao has done, by the way, to make himself look good until he gets tested by someone that actually has some real good skills that could actually put him to his highest, I guess, like championship mentality. Um, uh, 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 as far as like that the level of competition that brings the best out of him. But like my final point is that I truly believe Caleb Plant is a bad style matchup to Canelo, and Canelo he's never fought somebody like Plant before, and he knows that if it's going to go to a boxing match, he's going to lose. So the only way for Canelo to really actually win is that he has to break Plant down late game into the fight, and he has to find a way to break his boxing IQ down. And then once he lands those big shots, like everyone says that, Caleb Plant, he's going to gas out and he's going to get, caught with something big. If that even happens, and if Canelo could even catch him, then that's really the only way that Canelo really wins. Because when we're going to talk about like a actual pure boxing IQ talent, Caleb Plant beats Canelo 9 times out of 10 when it comes to boxing.
Wow. Well, you heard it, man, from K-Rod. I warned you guys before he spoke that he feels a little bit different. So, look, at the end of the day, this is Firestorm.
Hey,
The whole idea
K-Rod,
of fires the whole idea of Firestorm is for you to come on here and say your thoughts and unfiltered and yeah, and if at any point you disagree with what we're saying, obviously you have the live chat. But the link is in the chat. Click in and state your case. I did notice somebody say something right here. Puro Sur Central. He said, "Yo, Divine Boxing, I did not watch your prediction video. G Funky shouted you out." Oh, shout out to G Funk, man. And G Funky and I, just FYI, we don't always agree on a lot of things, as a matter of fact. But we do, I would say, and I think that G Funky would agree, we do have a mutual respect for each other in the sense of us both being OGs on here and being a part of this YouTube boxing community for a very, very long time. But look, he went for Fury. I went for Wilder. I'm rooting for Plant, and he's going for Canelo. But my official prediction, well, I have predicted that Canelo's going to win the fight. I'm rooting for Plant, but I think Canelo's going to win it. And I stated several different reasons in my prediction video. I feel like
hey, bro,
I
let me say something real quick if you don't mind. I just want to say something real quick. I don't mean to
yep.
cut you. I just want to say something real quick. Something that K Rod said. I just want to see what his opinion on this is. As much as I think that Canelo has, cheated, he's had judges on his side. Is this one thing that I think that we should always take into accountability? I mean, I don't disregard his cheating. I don't disregard the reality that he got judges on his side, but the dude can fight his ass off. We got to be honest. And I think that one thing that, as much as we want to act like, what I'm saying, it's judges, it's people, etc., we could say all these things, kind of like with Deontay Wilder. Like, I always bring this up because Deontay Wilder was my man. But Tyson Fury can fight. I mean, we can't lie. You know what I'm saying? The dude can fight. Whether it's cheating gloves, whatever, I do think that the cheating gloves did have an effect on Wilder. But go back to Canelo. One thing about Canelo is he can fight very good on the inside. I mean, not necessarily on the inside, but close. So, like the thing with Caleb Plant, I never really seen Caleb Plant get in close and have to duke it out. If he's on the outside, I think he can do very well. But if he get close to Canelo, the type of uppercuts Canelo throw and the type of like body work and things, it won't be good. That's all I'm saying, man. Like steroids, what I'm saying? All the judges aside, if Caleb Plant don't stay his distance, he gonna get hurt. And I think we
Yeah,
need to keep that into
and let
consideration.
me to your point. A lot of people are suggesting that what he did to Saunders is similar to what's going to happen to Plant. Saunders had a slick style, he had good footwork and all that, which I agree with all of that. I've already said on here, in my opinion, Canelo's best victory in his last 10 fights is Saunders. The way he beat him and fighting a guy who's a true 168 pounder. So I've already come out and said that. Now, I do want to say this, though. For all those people that are saying, oh, it's going to be more or less like what happened in the Saunders fight, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it because you're telling me that Plant hasn't sat down and watched that fight? You're telling me that you don't think that he's picked out the mistakes that Saunders made in that fight? And the mistake, the distinctive mistake that he made, the repetitive mistake that Saunders made was leaning over and allowing that uppercut to be thrown. And he did it repeatedly.
Yeah, he did.
And
Canelo,
Canelo,
on top of that, bro, and on top of that, he was fighting scared. If you really look at that fight, he was very hesitant, so he was overthinking what he was going to do, which made him think like
especially after he got hurt. Especially after he got hurt.
Yeah, and if you think about it, you said she was an athlete. You know what I'm talking about as an athlete, right? So, like, I remember I used to play football, right? And then you would go out, like, and then you have a certain play, right? So, like, if you would just second guess it one moment, you would get tackled because you second guessing it. So if you look at Billy Joe Sanders, you can tell he was thinking in the ring. So his momentum and his movement was counterproductive because Canelo can catch the reality that he was thinking about it. Whereas like somebody like Caleb Plant, it's a difference if he don't overthink it. If he don't overthink it, he's just going in there with the mentality like I'm about to beat this boy ass. It's gonna be a different type of fight. But you could tell if you really look at that fight, go back and watch it. I tell anybody in this chat, go back and watch that fight. You can tell for a fact that Billy Joe Sanders was overthinking everything he was doing. And that's why he was getting caught because every time that Canelo would like even flinch, he would always back up and he would think before he even throw a punch. And Canelo was catching on to that because he's a smart fighter. Let's go back and watch it. You'll see what I mean. He was overthinking it.
Yeah, I think in the first few rounds, I was like, yeah, this is what I expected from Billy Joe. He was trying to move and jab and do his thing. But for me, especially after he got hurt, was when I was like, then I started to see that he was really, really hesitant. And look, Canelo did what he's supposed to do. Saunders would throw the left hand, not hit it, then he would lean over to the side, and then Canelo caught on to it and timed it and just uppercutted the shit out of him. And that was it. It was all downhill from there.
You're right, bro. You're 100% right on that. That's what I said. It goes back to that hesitancy. He was hesitating to a point where Canelo could see it. He saw it and he like, every time I flinch, this what this dude do. I'm about to hit him with this uppercut. And Billy Joe Sanders, he never corrected that. But Canelo saw it. So he would faint it, and then Billy Joe Sanders will react. So he's like, I got his ass. And then as soon as Billy Joe Sanders really committed, he threw as much might as he could, and he hit him so hard that he broke his orbital bone. Because he knew he was gonna do it.
Yeah, he knew it. He didn't even have to reach for the shot. I mean, Saunders just put his face right there on his hip, and it was just like, boom. You know, it's like he doesn't have to reach for it to put a bunch of momentum or body weight behind it. It's just a vicious shot. I mean, Joe Louis used to land very similar shots against fighters. He had a nasty uppercut. I got my man G Funky in the building, bro. What's good? Orale.
Orale Holmes. What's going on, guys? How's everybody doing, man?
What's up, people?
Yo, just chopping it up, man. I didn't expect to talk this long about the fight, but look, people are getting excited about it. And I told people that this is the way, you know how it is, G-Funk. Like, once we get to fight week, people start taking it serious.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 3 weeks before, I remember, like, nobody was really talking about it much. Everyone was like, yeah, you know, Canelo's probably going to win. But now that we have a few Plant supporters, now Canelo fans are like, you know, orale, let's go. Let's talk about it then. So here we are.
Well, I've been excited about it just because it's for Undisputed. You know, I'm a big supporter. I love when fighters put all the belts on the line.
Facts.
And it's a little. I mean, there's a little extra for me because Canelo could be the first Mexican to become undisputed in the 4-belt era. I mean, obviously we've had other undisputed champions when there was just like 2 belts, 3 belts. But during the 4-belt era, it'll be the first time. So that's a little extra something for me. But I'll say this, man. We're talking with some people in the chat. I'm picking Canelo to win this fight. I'm picking him not because he's Mexican and I'm Mexican. Like, that has nothing to do with it. I've picked against Canelo before. The videos are still here on YouTube from like years back when he fought Trout. I picked Trout to beat him. I picked Mayweather to beat him. I picked Edeslandi Lara to beat him. I even picked Triple G to beat him. And I wasn't making videos at that time, but I did pick him.
Your video of your prediction of Trout Canelo actually popped up on my feed randomly. And it was like 8 years ago. And I was like, oh, shit. And you're right. You did pick Trout to win that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not a homer, man. Like, I don't just pick guys just because they're Mexican or Chicano, whatever you want to call them, I go based off styles and what I've seen in the ring. And that's one of the main reasons why I'm picking Canelo's because, I mean, look, I hear a lot of the things you're saying about Plant. And, I mean, I agree the guy can box. He's got quick hands. But my only issue is this. I always look at things like, because I do drop a lot of money sometimes on fights. I like to bet. And Plant to me is just an unproven guy. And it's hard for me to have a lot of confidence that he's going to be able to do that against someone like Canelo. I mean, the Figgin Butts and the Truaxes of the world. I mean, yeah, that's cool. But I mean, this is Canelo, like this is a different beast, man. And that's the main reason why I'm picking Canelo. I just think a lot of it has to do with just inexperience with Plant, That's just the way that I'm looking at it.
Yeah. Well, look, I guess I'm kind of like the medium here. I'm supporting Plant, but I've predicted Canelo. But I think K-Rod definitely has a stronger opinion. He's all in on Caleb and doesn't think.
Oh yeah, I heard what he said.
He doesn't think much of Canelo. So, K-Rod, do you have anything to tell G-Funk?
Nothing really. I mean, just like respectfully, I just think Plant is just a bad style for Canelo. And every time when we see Canelo in fights against pure skill boxers, to me it just looks like Canelo. He just he has a hard time dealing with those type of fighters. So if it ever goes to a boxing match, all 12 rounds, I would expect Canelo to struggle and possibly lose to Caleb Plant.
I agree up until you said you think Plant will win. Again, if he does it, if he pulls it off, that'd be a huge upset. But like I said, man, it's a big step up in levels for him, man. I mean, going from fighting Truax in his last fight to fighting Canelo, I mean, it's a big step up, man. And look, I agree with, like I said, the first part of what you said, because that's the reason why I picked guys like Trout and Lara to beat him, is because those guys can box, and they were both southpaws. I feel Lara beat him, and I've been on record saying that. I've even been called a Canelo hater, for many years. So it's not like I'm just picking him just to pick him because he's, like most people think. Like I heard you say, oh, it's the Mexicans and things like that. Like I get what you're saying, but we're not all like that, man. There's good, honest content creators out there that look at it objectively, like myself.
Let me say this. Let me say this on behalf of G Funky is that I think what happens is, and with all due respect to K-Rod as well, what happens is that Mexico, and I would say majority, and I think G Funky, you should be able to agree with me on this. Majority of Mexican Americans are diehard Canelo fans, and I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. I just want it to be, if I were to make a counter argument, I want it to be fair. If Canelo fans want to be crazy about Canelo, oh, he's Mexico, and we got to represent Mexico and all the Mexican Americans and their heritage and this and that, no problem whatsoever, especially coming from a guy who grew up near the border. I get it. But if I want to support Plant, who's an American fighter, then you should be like, all right, cool, like that makes sense. You want to represent your countrymen. Instead, you're like, oh, but Caleb Plant's not really American though. Canelo's more American. And it's like, what? This is what people.
Somebody
Say.
actually
This is
said that?
the G-Funk. This is what people are literally saying on my prediction video. So what? So you're suggesting that I should go for Canelo then? But I'm not even. Then you would criticize me for going for Canelo, but I'm not even Mexican. See, that's the
Or
problem
they
that
call
we
you
have.
a racist.
Yeah, that's the problem we have now. So I get where people like K-Rod and many others feel that Canelo fans tend to be very nationalistic and can be racist, and I've seen the comments. I've seen it. They call me gringo and all kinds of crazy shit on my channel, and they're like, "Oh, of course you're gonna go for Caleb Plant. You're a pichi gringo or whatever, right?" And they say other things towards black people too all the time. So there's like this underground race war going on, and it's been going on for a very long time. And I think what happens is that when certain channels and content creators, and I saw the chat talking about Canelo, popping positive for a substance. So what happens is that Canelo pops, right? And certain channels and some of the boxing media as well, not very many to be honest. Most boxing media, when Canelo popped, didn't even report it or reported it very little. It's just like I knew that he popped positive, and granted, I wasn't on YouTube at that time. I knew he had popped positive, but I didn't know he was suspended for 6 months. I didn't even know that until Plant mentioned it at the press conference. I was like, damn, really? And I had to research it, and I was like, oh yeah, he did get suspended for 6 months. So most people don't even know that, and I guess that's why people get upset. It's like, why is he shown favoritism? And then the question is, okay, if let's say I don't know, let's say if Wilder or Mayweather or any of these other accomplished black fighters tested positive, would they get the same treatment? You see where I'm going with this? And that's the problem, right? And there are certain people that feel like no, they would get lambasted, they would get destroyed in the media, but Canelo, for some reason, he gets a pass. And so when these things are pointed out, Canelo fans get defensive and they don't want to talk about it. And there's like, they beat around the bush. And from my personal opinion, and G-Funk, I'll let you give your opinion. I'm glad that Plant said what he said at the press conference personally. And it's nothing against Canelo whatsoever. But for me, I guess the delivery kind of seems a bit sarcastic and a little bit provocative, provocative, sorry. He's kind of attacking Canelo a little bit, but the message, I agree with it. Because nobody...
Think about it, bro. I mean, even Oscar Valdez, think about it. Like, to your point, if Floyd Mayweather or Wilder or Spence or any of these guys would have failed and then they would have got a fight, we already know it would have been on ESPN. It would have been everywhere. Let's be honest with ourselves.
Well, think about this. And I gotta give G-Funk a shout out about this, because when Earl Spence got his eye injury, everybody was calling him a ducker. Everyone was going crazy. Oh, he's ducking the fight. He doesn't want to fight Pacquiao, this, that, and whatever. And to G-Funky's credit, he made a video saying, no, you guys are stupid. The camera is like reversed because he's taking a selfie. Right? And so, but that's where it's at. Like, soon as Earl pulls out of the fight, people go bananas. And so there's like these inconsistencies. But what I wanted to say real quickly was about the message at Plant because nobody would ever even bring it up, the fact that he actually did pop positive for something and was suspended. And Plant was like, yeah, he did. And then the guy, I forget his name, that was leading the press conference was like, do you think Canelo cheated? And then Plant was like, did he get suspended for 6 months? Yes, he did. So there you go. It's I mean, it's like, and I understand how that would be a thorn in Canelo's side. I get it. Like, I would, you know what I mean? Like, how could he be happy about that? That's probably a very irritant, like, because he may have his reasons and he may feel like he was treated unfairly. Who knows? But the fact remains, you know what I mean? It's no different than Fury. He tested positive for shit too. And nobody hardly ever talks about it. So the question is that if these other fighters were to pop positive, would it be a different conversation. We don't know, but a lot of people think that it would be. So, any thoughts on that, G-Funk?
Well, I would say this, as far as Canelo goes, I don't have a problem with anybody saying he popped dirty for clenbuterol because he did. You know, I just feel like what's been put out there. Now I know you said that major media people didn't report it. I mean, I heard it on ESPN when it happened, and he was suspended, and that's why the rematch didn't happen right away with Triple G. He ended up fighting minus moderation because Canelo was indeed suspended. So I mean, he got punished. He got punished for
Yeah,
it.
but think about this, bro. But think
You
about this,
know,
bro.
but
They talked about that for like they talked about that for like what, a week, but they talked about Deontay Wilder's costume for like 2 years, bro. Think about this, man. So you know it's a difference, man. Come on, man. Let's be honest.
I don't
Come
think
on,
so,
let's be
man.
honest, bro.
The guy was
So you tell
suspended.
it
Like,
they.
how could you
I
say
mean,
that
they
when the guy was
suspended.
suspended?
Okay, no, but what I'm saying is like
It's not like
they
they let
act
him
like
walk scot free,
they didn't.
right?
But what I'm saying is like this. It's a different type of scrutiny. Like so, like okay, you got Canelo, right? He failed the drug test, right? He got suspended. I mean that's good. He should have got suspended. But what I'm saying is like it was more scrutiny of a guy making an excuse about a costume than a guy who actually failed the drug test. Think about that,
Well,
bro. Like
he made
like
more.
like
He made
let's be
more.
honest.
He talked more about other things other than just the costume. I mean, let's
I
just
mean,
be honest about it.
I mean, but
If we're
I
gonna
mean, I
lay
mean,
everything on the table, we got to lay everything on the table.
okay,
I mean,
we can talk, we can
and I
talk
don't
about
want to.
all that.
And I
I
don't
mean,
want
we
to
not
bring
gonna go.
that up right now because we're talking about Canelo and Divine. This is Divine's
Yeah,
channel,
yeah,
so you
yeah. And
know.
I'm not gonna go into all that. What I'm saying is like it is a discrepancy because even if we bring up that right, we could talk about like Vasil Lomachenko talking about like his shoulder injuries. We could talk about Manny Pacquiao, and I'm not gonna go into all that stuff. All I'm saying is like there is a considerate amount of like coddling when it comes to certain fighters. And you know what I'm saying? Because and the reality is we can't sit up here and try to act like Canelo Alvarez doesn't have like a considerate amount of coddling that comes along with his character. And I'm not trying to say that he's not a flashy fighter. He's a great fighter. I always say that all the time. Drug, like I said earlier in the show, I think he's a good fighter. Even without the juice, I think he's a good fighter. And I think it's a disrespect to him if he's not on the juice that he's not a good fighter. I think he'd be good without
Hey,
it. I
hey,
personally think that.
G-Funk, let me ask you a question. Would you consider Canelo testing positive as cheating?
Absolutely.
Okay. I just want to make that clear because there are certain people that try to beat around the bush and try to make excuses. And I think there's another connection between Canelo testing positive, and then, of course, we know about Valdez. He tested positive, but then he was still able to fight somehow.
Yeah.
Wasn't punished. And,
Well, the Valdez situation was completely different.
How so?
They went ahead and went with the commission decided to go with WADA. They only used VADA for the testing. So whatever VADA, it was on VADA's. I'm sorry, I'm getting confused. VADA and WADA sound similar. VADA only conducted the testing of the fighters. Nothing, they didn't enforce any kind of rules. It was WADA's rules. And WADA says that you can take that stuff out of competition, which is, according to them, if you take it during the fight, that's in competition. If you don't take it during the fight, it's out of competition.
So you give him.
That's where it happened.
So do you give him a pass? Do you give him a pass? Honestly, do you give him a pass?
What do you mean as far as a pass? Like,
I
think he took it intentionally. I think he took it intentionally, and that was I made a video about it.
No, I'm saying, do you give him a pass? What I mean, like, it's like, okay, we all know that whether it's in competition or out of competition, it's still something that's going to help you doing your training. Like, it's like perfect example. Like, say for instance, me and you, we train it right for a race, right? And I know that there are certain things that enhance my endurance. So I'm taking it outside of competition, but I know when it comes down to competition, even if I get off of it, I did built up so much endurance inside of me that when the competition time comes, I can wean myself off of it, but I'm still gonna have
But
the benefits of it.
that's not how it works, though, man. What he took,
Yes,
that's
it
not how
does,
it works.
bro.
No, it doesn't.
Bro, I
I
used to box, bro. I'm telling you, yes, it does, bro.
Okay,
Yes, it
well,
does.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. Then I'll do you one better. I made a video about what the drug actually is, and a toxicologist talked about it. It's out of your system. He took it weeks before the fight. It's already out of your system. You had no benefits of it during the fight. It's a stimulant. Stimulants don't last weeks. So you're wrong
Yeah,
on
but you
that,
missed.
man. I'm sorry. You're just
No, but
flat
you
out
missed.
wrong
No,
on
no,
that.
no, but you missed my point, bro. I mean,
You
regardless if
said
it's out of
it
your
helps him
system.
during the fight when it doesn't.
No, I didn't say that. What I'm saying to you is this. Listen to me, bro. Really listen to me clearly. Say, for instance, that I was training my whole time with an endurance enhancing performance drug, right? And I was able to run 10 miles, right? And my body, because we got muscle memory, so my body was able to be able to run 10 miles. Even if I got off that performance enhancing drug, my body is still gonna remember that I was able to run 10 miles. So even though it may be harder when I'm off that drug, if I was able to run 8 miles before, but I used that drug to get my performance up to 10 miles, I'm still gonna be able to run that 10 miles, even if it's harder without that drug. You see what I'm saying? So even though
Here's
I'm off that drug, you see what I'm saying, bro? Like it's like even though like I'm off the drug still helped me to get beyond that pinnacle that I was at before. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Let me just get off just a few minutes uninterrupted. Let me get off when I'm going to get off real quick.
Mm,
Again, I'll refer you to the video that I made. Bad Left Hook covered it, where they talked to a scientist about it. The man said that it's not a performance enhancing drug. It's a
I
banned
get that.
substance. It's a banned substance. So it's not anabolic, it's not steroids, it's not juice. Not only that, he says that you can't use it to mask anything else. He used it, it was a weight loss stimulant. He used it to help him lose weight. That's all it is. It did
But you
nothing
still
for him
haven't
during the
answered my
fight.
question, bro. You still haven't answered my question. If that drug allowed me to get to a point where my muscle memory would allow me to retain the same thing
It
that
doesn't
I
do
had
that though.
before,
It
yes,
doesn't
it
do that.
does, bro. So you telling me if it enabled me to be able to run 10 miles and I was
It
able to
doesn't do that.
maintain that, bro, that's not true, bro.
It doesn't do that.
I,
Wait,
I,
wait,
I
The
wait, wait,
drug
wait,
is
wait. Hold on, hold on,
the
hold on.
drug
Time
is
out, time
used
out,
to help people lose weight. That's what it's made for. You give it to
time
That's
out,
obese
not
time
people.
out.
true,
You telling me an obese person could take phentermine and then go run 10 miles? Like that's not how it works, bro. Like
bro,
these aren't even
bro.
my words. It's a
Let
scientist. So
me.
if you want to argue with a scientist, that's up to you, not me.
Go talk to Victor Conte, bro, because he already broke it down, man.
Okay. Well, I mean, like I said, Bad Left Hook had an article where they talked to a toxicologist about it. And
Whatever you say,
you can
bro.
take it. You can take it for what it's worth. You want to believe Victor Conte? Go ahead. I'm gonna believe a scientist over Victor Conte.
Victor
Sorry, I
Conte
just am.
he was the man
Right.
pen, so we already know that he know what he's talking about.
Let me put a little quick timeout on this. Look, so I see both sides of you guys' argument. Okay, as the mediator here. I think the question at hand should be: there is a difference. Obviously, this is something that I do for a living. I'm a strength and conditioning coach. Okay, there's a difference between a stimulant and, to be honest with you, caffeine is a stimulant, right? So there's a difference between stimulant and performance enhancing. It enhances your performance, rather short term, long term. Obviously, steroids is a quick fix, but it has long term effects, right? Growth hormone, same thing. Very similar as far as the effects when it comes to, in comparison to steroids. The problem to me is this: the VADA, WADA, whatever it is, the drug testing companies out there, they're having a difficult time trying to define and or refine the actual details of what these boxers can take and cannot take.
Yep.
Because I understand that if you take a diuretic, and this is a problem in all sports, diuretics are used to mask possible PEDs, not just taking a diuretic for being a diuretic. They use them as a masking agent. So when boxers take these stimulants, there's a lot of different stimulants, by the way, that boxers take to try and cut weight. So then it's, for me, in that perspective, it's not a question of, oh, Valdez is trying to be stronger and have more endurance and more stamina. It's actually a question of he's trying to have a possible unfair advantage to make weight. And boxing, there's weight classes for a reason. So if you sign up for a fight 4 months prior, and then a week before the fight or 2 weeks before the fight, you're not on schedule or on pace to make that weight. So therefore, you take a stimulant to try and reduce that weight, then it's an advantage, because the other guy, he's done the right things to make sure that he's on schedule to make the weight. So it's a different conversation rather than, oh, he's taking PEDs. But nonetheless... But nonetheless, it is still banned, okay? Because a weight advantage is still an advantage, but it has to be categorized differently.
Hey, Divine, let me ask both of y'all a question. That's what you just said. Can we both just ask ourselves this question? Is muscle memory a thing?
Sure.
Is it a real thing?
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Okay, so if muscle memory is a real thing, if you condition your body to do a certain thing, whether it's a performance enhancing drugs, whatever, will your body remember it? That's all I want to ask. That's all
Sorry,
I want
ask
to
the
ask.
question again. Ask the question again. Sorry.
I said, if you condition your body to remember certain things based off of certain performances, will your body remember it?
Of course, that's what
Yes
muscle
or no?
memory is.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if I'm taking a drug that forces my body to be able to run 10 miles, and I'm doing it for an extended amount of time, and then I'm off that drug, my body is still going to remember to be able to run them 10 miles, even if I'm off that drug. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So if a fighter was taking a certain drug, even if he got off that drug, he got the benefits of that drug. That's all I'm saying, bro. You got to think about that. That's all I'm saying, man.
I think you're thinking about it the wrong way, but
let me
I
put
don't
it
want to
in
stir the
perspective.
conversation that way.
Let me put it in perspective. As somebody who does this for a living, and I work with athletes, right? And I've been an athlete myself in so many different competitions, and so we all know that there's many different like pre-workouts on the market that you can buy at GNC, on Amazon, right? There's so many different ingredients that are trying to stay below that gray area where it's illegal, right? Even in everyday society, there are stimulants out there. Like, for example, I took a pre-workout not too long ago, and I was like raging. I felt like I was like the Incredible Hulk. And that's something that I bought online, and it had all these different herbs and yohimbe bark and maca and like caffeine and all this crazy shit. And I took a scoop of that shit, and I was like Superman for like 30, 45 minutes. And that stuff's legal, right? So there's just so many ingredients out there that companies are trying to produce to try and get to, well, first off, to make profit from it. Let's be honest, obviously, right? To get these people to buy it and have an edge in training and stuff like that. So right now, boxers can take those same pre-workouts that we do as everyday people. So then it's like, well, if we can all buy the same stuff and we're all on an equal playing field, let me see if I can try to get something that's not on the illegal list to get a little bit of extra edge. I mean, this is just the nature of what's going on in today's sports.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's a little. Of course, it's like a little bit disappointing. If it was me, if somebody said to me, "Hey, man, we got a competition coming up, and nothing is allowed. You can't take a pre-workout, nothing, and we're gonna test you for this, and that. All you can do is just completely natural. Everything is natural." And let me just say this: when I say natural, like, herbs are natural, right? But a lot of athletes and a lot of sports can't use cannabis oil treatment because it's illegal, but cannabis is a plant.
Yeah.
In the Olympics, if you test positive for any type of cannabis strain, you are kicked out. You're out of the Olympics. If you lose a medal, they take the medal away from you. Right? So there's just all these fine lines. Now, if I had the choice, I would say, yeah, great. Everybody on an even playing field. Nobody can take nothing. It's pure natural. But the reality is that if I'm going into a competition, and I'm being completely honest with you, and I do CrossFit competitions and shit like that, right? And I know that everybody competing, they're on pre-workouts. They can be taking all kinds of crazy shit. Now, I personally will not take like steroids and growth hormone because I think the long-term effects are not worth it. It will damage you in the long run, right? But these other stimulants, they stimulate you for 45 minutes to an hour, then you piss it out. You flush it out of your system. They don't have long-term effects. So that's why it's called a pre-workout. And it lasts for a workout, basically. So if I know that they're going to take it, you damn well better believe I'm going to take it too. Because if not, they're going to have an edge on me. So in boxing, unfortunately, it's not CrossFit, right? People punch people in the face. You can kill somebody. So that's why drugs are illegal. And that's why they try to put a stop to it. And I am 100% in support of what Mayweather did. And I know a lot of people get upset, but I agree with random blood and urine testing for boxers. I 100% agree with it because that puts everybody on a level playing field and you are being tested while you're in training camp. You can't use diuretics to mask PEDs. You can't do nothing. Right?
Hey, Divine, let me ask you one quick question, Divine. So with that being said, it goes back to my question. When you use those enhancements in your training, it does last with you even when you're not taking them, right?
Well, I would say this: if I take a pre-workout, which a lot of pre-workouts have like an ingredient called T-crane or T-crane, right? Yeah. It's a stronger form of caffeine. It's super powerful, right? And if I take it for a week nonstop, and then I'd stop taking it. It's like, let's say I'd say, oh, I'm going to take it for a week, and the next week I'm not going to take it. Yeah, you're right. You feel the difference. You feel like you don't have that boost, for sure. For sure. But exactly. Then your body does get used to it. Your body, if you take these type of stimulants for an extended amount of time, your body does get tolerant to it, just like any drug. Your body builds a tolerance as well. And then you don't have that same effect. So you take more of it and more of it and more of it and more of it because you lose that boost.
Even if you don't take it, what I'm saying is like even if you don't take it, like perfect example when I was in the military, right? It was people that was taking creatine. I took creatine for a little bit, right, to get my to get like me to like be able to lift weights and do more things when I was in the military, right? Even when I get off the creatine, right? I was off for a while, but my stamina and certain things had increased to a point where even when I got off of it, I was still able to maintain where I was at. Even though it was harder for me to get there, I still had it that like my muscles remembered the reality that I was able to get there. That's what I'm saying. It's like before I did what I did, right? My body couldn't get there. But once I did that, my body was like, okay, you can get there. And it remembered what I did when I was taking that drug. It was just harder for me to do it. You see what I'm saying? So like if I could only hit 125, right? I'm just giving an example. If I could only hit 125 and I took this drug and I'm hitting 185, what happens is I'm hitting this 185 and then I stop taking this drug and then all of a sudden I try to hit this. I'm like, damn, I can't hit the 185 no more. But at the same time, my body is trying to remember that I was able to hit the 185. So I might go from 125 to 145, but I ultimately get back up to the 185 because my body is like, you can get to it even without this drug. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's a
harder process, but at the same time, your muscle memory still remembers the reality that you got there. because he
I
was
hear you,
able to
man,
get
but I
there
just think that
regardless.
what Valdez took is it doesn't give you that effect, man. It's a drug that it's literally a prescription drug for
It's a
obese
diuretic.
people.
It's a
You
diuretic.
know, no, it's
yeah.
not. It's not even a diuretic either. Like that was the initial report by Coppinger, and then they came out and said it's just a stimulant. It's not a diuretic. So
It helps people lose weight. Yeah.
yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like you remember Fen-Phen. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was a popular thing back 20 years ago or so. The phentermine is what he took alone, and yeah, I mean it's a really good article. Just all you do is look it up on Bad Left Hook, man, and the scientists broke it down, man. And I'll say this: he took it. I don't believe his story where he said it was in some kind of tea or something like that. I believe he took it to help him lose weight. That's what I think. But the thing that I have a problem with is people calling it juice, steroids, and that type of. It's nowhere near that. It's not even the same ballpark as that.
Yeah.
You know?
You have to
But
be
I gotta.
careful with. You have to be careful with your language. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, do I agree with the fact that he took a stimulant to help him lose weight? No, because
he shouldn't have.
you know, he's
Yeah.
not fucking on schedule to make weight. That's on him. But
Yep.
is it a PED? No, it's not. You have to call it what it is. I agree.
Hey, Divine, give me a few minutes. I gotta take care of something with my kid. I'll be right back, man.
Yes, sir.
I'm just
I
going
would
to
just
I'll be right back.
I would just say one thing to the brother who just going to take care of his kid. All I would say is this, man. Regardless if we think that it's a diuretic, whatever, it's banned for a reason, and we have to stand on a level field where we say that
I agree.
either it's
Yeah.
banned or it's not. You know what I'm
I
saying?
agree.
Because if it's banned, it's banned. You know what I'm saying? That's the end of the story. You know what I
I
mean?
100% agree. Rather it's an advantage to make weight, which is an advantage. It is. So it's either an advantage to make weight or it's an advantage to have a performance edge. It is banned for a reason, and it should be treated equally amongst every boxer that pops positive for either one of those two. I agree,
Exactly.
1,000%. Antoine, apologies for not getting to your super chat earlier. I mean, we're getting into a heated conversation here. But he says, dude is a Canelo sympathizer. I think he's talking about G-Funk. And a Canelo camp excuse maker. But it isn't a quote-unquote Mexican thing. If it didn't enhance, why is it banned? Well, yeah, I mean, we've been chopping it up here. Obviously, I got to your super chat a little bit late. And you know, I always appreciate you supporting the channel, bro, all the time. It's just a conversation and debate between a stimulant and an enhancer is it's not the same, and they're banned for different reasons. A stimulant, aka diuretic, aka something to help you lose weight, is banned because it gives you an advantage when it comes to making weight. There are weights in boxing for a reason. PEDs are banned because it gives you an edge in performance. You can last longer. You can punch a little bit harder. You don't get tired, things like that. So they're banned for different reasons, but they're banned. I mean, that's what it comes down to. It's under the umbrella as a banned substance, but they're banned for different reasons, if that makes sense. So, a little bit of a long-winded debate about that, and it always is. I think that if it's basketball, baseball, football, golf, NASCAR, and they want to debate on what should be legal or illegal, is a completely different topic in comparison to boxing or any combat sport for that matter, where people can lose their life. I just don't, in my personal opinion, there's no room for debate. And that's why I 100% support Olympic-style drug testing for boxers, at least for a while, so boxers will actually respect the process and not try to get an edge. After you do it for 3 or 4 years, boxers might get the hint because they get tired of having their blood drawn, every week after a training camp when they're tired and they're exhausted from sparring for 20 rounds, and now they got to give blood. No, it's not comfortable. So get your damn acts together. As a community of boxers, managers, promoters, whatever it may be, get your act together. But there are boxers cheating or trying to cheat every damn fight. And because
Very
of
true.
that,
Very true.
because of that, there needs to be this more strict and just more strict drug testing.
Divine,
until
if I could say
boxers
this-
get the damn message.
If I could say this too, the V in VADA stands for voluntary. A lot of people don't know that, but like you said, in a sport where people can get hurt and people do die, why should drug testing even be voluntary? It should be fucking mandatory.
Yep.
And I'm to the point where I'm like this. Look, they don't care, man. I honestly don't think boxing gives a shit. I really don't think they care about trying to clean up the sport. I think it's all just an act, to be honest with you, because if they really cared about it, everyone would be tested. I mean, look, the other sports do it. Everybody tests in all the other sports. But when it comes to boxing, where you're getting punched in the head, getting punched in the body, you know, you can volunteer. I mean, look how many fighters don't get tested, you know? Like,
for sure.
You know, it's crazy,
for
man.
sure.
It should be mandatory.
And I guarantee you what, a lot of people don't agree with it or what have you, but I guarantee you that boxers have figured out a system, especially at the pinnacle of the sport, at the guys out there at the top. Those who want to cheat, those who want to get an edge, they're figuring out a system how to get away with it. I promise you that.
Oh, absolutely.
They can figure out a
man.
system. I can drink this. I can take that. I mean, I remember when I was in the military, and they would tell us, "Hey, you know, you might get called up for a drug test." You know, and were there people in the military smoking weed and doing cocaine and go? Oh, absolutely, all the time. So we, as military personnel, would gather up and say, "Hey, you know, what can we drink before I might get tested this week, next week, or whatever it may be? How long does weed take to get out of your system? How long does cocaine take to get out of your system? How long does ecstasy take to get out of your system?" And you go on Google, you talk to people, and you're like, "Oh, drink a cup of vinegar and mix it with fucking rosemary or whatever,"
Cranberry
you know. And people
juice.
and people just figure out a way to flush their system, or at least mask it so it comes out inconclusive. Because if it comes out inconclusive, that's basically negative.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have to retest you, but that means another 4 or 5 days have went by. So by that time, you're clean. And it happens in civilian life too. If you go get a new job, they give you a piss test. So
Absolutely.
people figure out ways, and they'll continue to figure out ways to get away with it. And that's why I agree with the Olympic-style drug testing.
Yeah, it should be all the time too, man. You know?
And boxers hate. I mean, Manny Pacquiao lost his mind about it. He's like, I'm afraid of needles, and I don't want to give my. I'm weaker. I get weak when I lose my blood. You know, I can't train as hard, and making all these excuses. And Mayweather's like, well, if I'm doing it, why can't you do it? It doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm losing blood too. It's not like I'm asking you to do it and I don't have to do it.
Right.
And he's
Absolutely,
like, but what did he say? Manny Pacquiao said, like, I'm afraid of my own blood. I remember he said one time.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of my own blood.
Hey, Divine, remember when they did the 24/7 when Pacquiao fought Hatton, and like he went and got blood tested? They showed it on the show. He's like,
Yeah.
I don't like having my blood drawn. Like, but bro, you got it done before. Like the excuses weren't adding up. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you know, and people ridiculed Mayweather massively for that. Like, they were just like, oh, how dare he ask for this and that, and Manny Pacquiao's never tested positive, so he shouldn't even want to consider, you know, having to test Pacquiao. And okay, you know, that I understand that side of it, but at the same time, Mayweather didn't just do it for Pacquiao. He did it for pretty much his last, like, what was it, like 5 fights or even more than that?
Yeah, I think it was more. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he set the standard, and it was only Pacquiao who fought against it. I remember when he fought Juan Manuel Marquez, and Marquez was drinking his own piss. Remember that shit?
Yeah, that was disgusting.
You know, and he's like, "Oh, there's research out there. If you drink your own urine, you get like more potassium." And so, like, boxers do crazy stuff, people, to get an edge. I'm telling you. I got my man Arturo in the building, man. He's a Canelo fan as well. Puro Sur Central, man. Thank you so much, bro, for dropping by. I appreciate you. And again, thank you to G Funk for, I guess you gave me a shout out recently, bro, and some people dropped by.
Yeah, it was when you popped up on the Roundtable Thursday. I let everybody know, I was like, hey, it's Divine Sense. Subscribe to his channel, check him out, and hey, man, looks like a few people did. So,
Yeah, appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course, man.
I thought that, since the last time I was on the panel talking about Fury Wilder, you remember how heated that got. So,
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that happens, man.
It happens. This guy Divine, he's crazy. He doesn't know shit about boxing. That's always the go-to, right? When someone doesn't agree with you, hey, he doesn't know anything about boxing.
Right. No, I mean, we don't do that over there on HCP, man. We give everyone a chance to say what they want to say, whether we agree or don't. I mean, hell, my co-host and I, we've been doing shows for almost 2 years now. We don't agree on everything. We've had some shouty matches before. So, I mean, hey, we just keep it moving. That's just how sports talk is in general,
Antoine says, doesn't banned mean illegal? Well, yeah, bro. I mean, I think we've already touched on that. Like, basically, if it's a diuretic or something to help you lose weight, yes, it's banned for that reason. If it's a PED to help you perform better, faster, stronger, then yes, it's banned. Yes, it's illegal. But you can't put every banned substance under the same it's under the same umbrella, but it's not the same category, if that makes
They're
sense.
not all
like
created. They're not all created equal.
You can't say that that caffeine and cocaine are the same. They're stimulants, but they stimulate your body differently, and you have way different reactions in comparison to the two, right? And you also can't compare cocaine to steroids.
Yeah. And here's the funny thing about the situation, because I know he's referring to the Valdez situation. And like I stated before, according to the toxologist, the drug is given to obese people to help them lose weight who can't do physically, they're just too overweight to do physical fitness and exercise and stuff like that. So it's really meant for those type of people. When someone who's already physically fit, like a pro fighter, it's more dangerous for them to take it in that state than when you're overweight. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why it's banned. And that's the reason why it's a prescription only. You can't even get that shit unless you get a prescription, So it's more dangerous for Valdez himself to take it than his opponent. And then also to the point of, again, this is where it got fucking crazy with the whole Valdez situation, is because they only used VADA to test, and then they used WADA's ban list. And according to WADA's ban list, you can take it out of competition, which was, I think it was like a month before the fight, he tested positive for it, which is considered out of competition by WADA. So it got weird. Yeah.
That's the problem with inconsistencies, right? You have these different sanctioning bodies and these different companies administering tests, and they have different rules. And then when a fighter does pop positive, they're like, oh, well, but in the rule book, it says this. And it was like, well, I thought the substance is banned regardless. Oh, well, it is, but there's this gray area. It's like, and that's the problem. And that's literally the problem. If you have one standard testing for everyone, we wouldn't have this problem.
Facts. I agree, man. 100%.
And so, like, we're having these debates, and then people get upset because, oh, he won because he tested positive and he had an advantage, and so people get upset, and then it's like, and then you get into the whole race thing, and then it just goes crazy, right? But I mean, the thing is that with Canelo, right? This is the problem. He tests positive once. Then it puts a question mark over, I don't know, at least a certain part of his career. Because then the question is like, well, Has he been getting away with it? Was he not being tested? This is why he's been so strong? And then so people start questioning it. And then it's like, if he dismantles Plant, if I'm Canelo, as soon as I beat Plant, I would put a picture of my drug test results on Twitter, like the next day. Like, just, hey, I mean, because if you are questioned in the media, which he might actually, you never know. Someone would say, hey, what were the testing results like, or whatever. If Canelo pushes back and gets defensive and says, "Oh, wait, I'm not here to talk about the testing. I beat Plant, and that's the way it is." How do you think the people are going to perceive that? So I'm just saying, if I'm Canelo, just jump to the chase right off the bat and just say, yes, I took a test. Yes, I tested negative. There it is for the people. And then don't even allow the media to try and call you out or question you about it. I don't.
Are they
think
being
he'll do
tested
that,
for this fight? I think they are being tested, right? Both fighters.
I don't know. To find out these little small intricate details, you have to sometimes have connections or know the right websites to go to. But I would imagine, because Caleb Plant has put so much emphasis on, Canelo cheating, that it could have been put in the contract. I mean, we don't know. We remember when they first made the fight, right? There was contractual issues. People's, it was money, it was this, that, or whatever. Plant wanted more. Canelo wanted more. Who knows the truth when these things happen? But it is very possible that one of the hangups could have been that Plant wanted it to be in the contract that both fighters were to test before the fight and after the fight.
Yeah, I believe it is. I believe there is testing going on, but I'll go ahead and try to get some confirmation on that, because I think Canelo's been testing pretty much for years now. He's been in the voluntary program. So, I mean, look, I'll say this before I go, man, because the main event's getting ready to start here on the ESPN card, and I want to check it out.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, look, he tested for the clenbuterol. The hair follicle test came back, showed nothing there. They feel it was consistent with some sort of unintentional contamination. We do know that there is a problem down there in Mexico with the cattle. I mean, a whole soccer team one time tested positive for it. So, I mean, it is a thing down there. So, I mean, look, he got suspended. He did his time. He's been tested since then. So, like, I honestly feel like it's not an issue anymore. But, the thing with steroids and boxing, people don't let it go. And I get it. You know what I'm saying? But for me, like, hey, if he's testing, we shouldn't have anything to complain about, But
I will say this. G Funky, before you go.
Yo, did you guys just see that?
Go ahead, K Rod.
Oh my God, Jaron Ennis just brutally knocked out Thomas Delorme. I'm sorry.
I'm not. Oh man, I was gonna watch that after the ESPN Plus.
I'm very, very sorry to spoil that, but I just wanted to just put that out there.
Yeah, I'm not watching any of the fights. But yeah, I had Ennis winning that fight.
That.
So
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised.
Yeah.
But the last thing I just wanted to say is that if Canelo, for whatever reason, after this Plant fight, especially if he wins, obviously, and tests positive for something, I hate to say it, but he's a damn fool. Like, seriously, with all of the press and all the negativity that's been brought out, and Plant, going apeshit about it at the press conference and tweeting about it every damn day. And then, it's like, you got to, even though it irritates you, you got to be extra careful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because now you're the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world. And if you test positive afterwards, that's not a good look.
No, not at all.
So you got to make sure that you on your, P's and Q's and do the right thing, man, because that's serious, and if he comes back and they say the test is clean, then great, I always give credit where credit's due, just like I had to eat crow when Fury beat Wilder, and, I had walked through the gates of hell for about a week. afterwards. But
Hey,
that comes
we've
with
all been there,
it,
Divine. You know.
it comes with the territory, right?
Yeah, we've all been there, man. I had to eat mine for a while with Ramirez when Taylor beat him for undisputed. I was really pulling for Ramirez there because he's from my area and he does a lot of work out here and for the farm workers in California, and that's very dear to my heart because that's where my family came from. So yeah, that was a tough one for me, but hey, it's what it is, man. I've been here 10+ years now. Not gonna get them all right. Oh, somebody just got dropped already, but I'm a roll, man. But hey, Divine, man, thanks for having me on, bro. I appreciate it, and you're always welcome anytime on my platform as well, man.
Yep. Yeah, man. Anytime, brother.
All
Thanks
right,
for dropping
guys, have a
by.
good night.
Same to you. Yep.
All right, brother. Yeah, the 147-pound division is oh, man, it's lit.
Oh! Wow!
140
Oh my God! Oh! Yo, I'm so sorry.
Damn, you're getting lit.
Vargas just got knocked down. Oh my Lord Jesus Christ. Yo! What am I seeing right now? Oh, no! He just stopped him! Yo! Yo! Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Divine, but I just
Which fight is this?
Zepeda just knocked down Vargas in round one! Oh my God! That's
Whoa.
embarrassing! Oh man, I'm so sorry, man.
Man, you're getting lit.
Yeah, I literally just was watching that fight while you were talking, and I apologize. But I just wanted
All
to.
good, man. All good. Yeah, I mean, I can't if I watch the fight and go live, it just takes too much bandwidth, man. So I'm
Yeah.
not able to do both. But yeah, hey, I'm gonna have to go watch it now.
Wow, bro. Josue Vargas disappointed me.
Wow.
Dude.
What wait, that's not on ESPN Plus, right?
Yeah, ESPN.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Dude, that was sad.
Wait, so Ennis just won, and then
And then shortly after, Zepeda knocked out Josue Vargas in one round.
Wow. I thought the main event was after the Ennis fight.
No, the main event literally took place after Ennis just beat Delorme.
Mm.
Yeah. So
wow, so now you throw Ennis in the conversation at 147. 147 can't get any more crazy. Right?
yeah.
With Spence and Porter and Crawford and Ugas and Virgil Ortiz. It's insane at 147. Absolutely insane. We got to have an undisputed in 147. There's just too many good fighters. We can't have 5 fighters having 5 different belts. Just can't. We got to find out who's the best. But look, originally I was going to make this live stream and touch a little bit about Wilder and some things that I've been hearing through the grapevine about, him continuing to be disrespected in the media and obviously amongst channels out here. But I've went a little bit longer than I wanted to on this live. So I'll probably do another live and talk about that separately. So, I appreciate everyone dropping by. We had a pretty damn good conversation tonight with the few guys that jumped on the panel. The guy earlier, AL, man, I appreciate you jumping in and giving your thoughts. And look, guys, it's fight week, man. You hear K-Rod, man, going crazy watching the fights that are happening right now. Next Saturday, of course, we're back on it again with some great fights once again. Obviously, with Plant and Canelo and that whole undercard. And so this is a great time for boxing, and hopefully we are not. Hopefully we are gifted with a great fight and no controversy, no BS. Let the best man win. And hopefully, if Plant outboxes Canelo, the judges are fair. And if Canelo beats Plant, which he's the favorite to do so, hopefully there's no controversy with drugs or any of that stuff. Hopefully it's clean and a good fight. No referee BS and just straight down the line, great fight. That's what I'm hoping for as a boxing fan. And like I said, I'll be back on here. I might. What is it? It's night in the States. I might try to sneak one in tomorrow morning for you guys and give my thoughts about Wilder and what I've heard. And so be on the lookout for that. And K-Rod, as always, man, it's always good for you to be a part of the panel. I know you didn't talk much because you were busy watching the fights. But you got your piece in about Canelo regardless. So that's always important, I guess, to get your message out there. But for everyone else, man, if you guys haven't hit the like button yet, make sure you hit that like button before you leave. And also, if you want to continue to support the channel, go ahead and click that join button and become an official member. Grab your perks and your exclusive content. And that's very much appreciated. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and jump up out of here. The live stream went a little bit beyond the time that I expected, and I'll be back on here. I'll try to sneak one in tomorrow morning. All right, guys. So thanks once again, and take care. Be safe, be positive, and stay strong.
See you later. Thank you.